Shabbat Shalom everyone, we're going to get straight into it. We want ZEPHANIAH chapter 3, we want verse 10 through 11. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, or Cush, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring my offering. Verse 11 now. In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings wherein thou hast transgressed against me. Who has transgressed against the Most High? As far as we know. Yeah? Okay. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride, and thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. Now, we know from the way it's talking, we're talking about an end-time prophecy. Now, the problem is that we're told that the dispersed, which most times it refers to the Israelite in the Bible, they're coming from beyond the rivers of Cush. Now, as far as we know, most scholars, they identify the rivers of Cush as being the river of Nile. Yeah? So, with that being said, we cannot say that these people that is talked about right now, this is the Ethiopian Jews, because the Ethiopian Jews, they were in Ethiopia, not beyond the Nile River. That's one thing putting to bed. Now, let's concentrate on what the verse is saying. We've heard the daughter of my dispersed. And as I said, most times it's talking about the Israelites. And to prove it, yeah, also in verse 11, we are talking about the holy mountain. We know that the holy mountain is what? Zion, Mount Zion. Yeah, and then most times when we hear Mount Zion, we're talking about end-time prophecy. Yeah, the New Jerusalem and all that stuff. Cool. Now, we go back to the dispersed word. Yeah, it's put. Hebrew word. It's H6327. The majority of the time, this word it is found when the Mosiah is talking about scattering the Israelite among the nations. So, if you put everything together, we know for sure that this verse in Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 10 and 11 is talking about the Israelite. But this verse must have been the most ignored verse in the entire Bible, because it points out that some Israelites are in Africa. Yeah? And the title of the video is what? Debunking the Israelite. But you got to explain that, because we know for sure that this ain't happened yet. And if we're going to believe in the whole Bible, we're going to believe in that too. Yeah? And I'm going to give you the reference for the word as well in the Strongs, so you can go check it by yourself. Now, let's check if there's been some Jewish or Jews or Israelite communities beyond the river Cush. Yes, historically, the Bilad al-Sudan, or the land of the blacks in Arab basically, was a community of Jews in West Africa. So they have to acknowledge it. They can't say it did not happen. They can't say it was not true, because the Arabs recorded it. And even some historians recorded the existence of this Jewish community in West Africa. Now they like to say, well, they disappeared and all that stuff, you know, historically they're no longer in Africa, been assimilated and all that stuff, yeah? Although they are honest enough to say that, well, various modern groups throughout Africa, most of who claim some of Judaic or Israelite identity. Yeah? So but they gotta say, yeah, some people claim to be from this Jewish community that used to exist in West Africa. So at least they're honest enough. So what is this thing when people are trying to say that, oh, no, all black people trying to say that they're the Israelite, and no, it's not true, the Israelites were not black, or whatever. But he still didn't explain why the Ethiopian Jews are black, and why the white Jewish Khazars, or whatever you want to call them, are white. Because one should be coming from the other. One turn into the other, if they're both Israelite. Or one of them is not Israelite. And when did the Israelite turn white, if the Israelite were black at first, like the Ethiopian Jews? Or when did the Israelite turn black, if the Israelites were white, like the white Jewish people? This is the question that you gotta ask yourself. But you don't want to think. Most of y'all out there, yeah, that's against this truth that black people are the Israelites. You don't want to think about that. All you think about is, no, black people are not the Israelite. Some of you blacks as well. I'm talking like that. Oh no, we're not the Israelites. All that matters is Jesus, you Christians. Because you're the most vocal about these kind of things. But anyway, another historical fact, and point out that there's been Jews in Africa. To further prove, Eldad Adani or Eldad the Danite, yeah, which was a so-called Jewish merchant that reached a city in Algeria in the, if I'm not wrong, the 9th century, and he claimed that he's coming from a Jewish or Israelite community in East Africa. This is an historical fact. We still have all the data, and all the rabbis are very, 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 very aware of this history right there. In case people are trying to come up to me and talk about, yeah, what I'm saying is not true, I've got the books and the scholarly evidence that and that then already existed. Also, I have some piece of works, scholarly books showing the existence of the Jewish community in West Africa, which come from universities and stuff like that. Western African History by Robert Russell Collins. You're going right here, segment about the Kingdom of Timbuktu or Timbuktu, page 29, and we read, he, the king, basically, so deadly hateth all Ayus or Jews, that he will not admit any into his city, and whatsoever barbaric merchant he understandeth have any dealings with the Jews, he presently causeth their goods to be confiscated. Proving that there were Jews in West Africa.
In America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is, most likely there is something there. And most likely, maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today, who are white, Caucasian people, came in a little bit later on. We know that some of the greatest sages of the transmission of the Torah were converts from Rome. You have a man named Unclus who wrote a commentary on the Torah, unprecedented, that we still learn today. He was a convert. Some of the largest pillars on the transmission today were Roman converts. So here we are, we're Caucasian Jewish people, and now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all. We know they were sold into slavery. We know now that they're fulfilling prophecy.
From ancient time is the throne where Eri, the king himself, sits. Eri, we know in the Bible that he is the son of God, and God is the son of Yaakov. This place used to see it from ancient time till now. This inscription you see here, written by cowries. Cowries those days were like what we use as money in the olden days. Okay? So this cowries you see here, it was not written done today. It has been here in centuries, the time of God to Eri, till today. It has remained. And this throne here remains. The ancient throne, this is the original ancient throne where God left for his son Eri.
There is a connection between colonialism and the construction of Israelite communities. Very often the colonists, and particularly the missionaries, they were ignorant people, very often from simple working class backgrounds, and the only ethnography that they knew, the only book that they knew, was the Bible. And on the colonial frontier, what they very, very often discovered was that people seemed to be doing things in the same way that they did it in the Bible. And so systematically throughout Africa, among the Zulus, among the Xhosa, among the Igbo and the Tutsi and so on, they kept finding traces, so they thought, of an ancient Judaism which had trickled down through Africa and finished up.
All right, so just to check back on what this man was saying about the missionaries, colonial, putting this Israelite thing in black people's head, which is not even true, because with all the evidence I showed you, black people knew about that long time ago. Yeah? Anyway, we're going to go and read The Slave Trade by YAHUSHA. Yeah, and that's a good piece of work for those of you who like to use Deuteronomy 28. You should get some historicity to it and get that. Yeah? Anyway, we're going to read page 146, 147. A Dominican friar, Fray Francisco de la Cruz, told the Inquisition in Lima that an angel had told him that the blacks are, next page, justly captive by reasons of the sins of their forefathers. Interesting. Some sort of truth right there. And now, let's read the lies. And that because of that sin, God gave them that color. You know, they have to talk about this nonsense. But it's fine, don't worry, let's continue. The Dominicans explains that the black people were descended from the tribe of Asher, or Asher. He must have meant Issachar, and that they were so warlike and indomitable that they would upset everyone if they were allowed to live free. So basically right there, they're trying to justify the reasons why they put black people into slavery. And if you read the whole thing, it's because there was some sort of question among these so-called Christians people, and that one of them claimed to have a revelation, and he's like, oh, black people are the Israelites, and, you know, that's the reason why they've sinned, so obviously we can, you know, enslave them. Guess what? That's the truth. Just like the scripture says, that will be scattered among the nations. Yeah? But the Most High has come back for us.
I am telling to you, my white brothers and sisters, that we have been duped all these years. We have been duped to believe that our black family members are low-life monsters created to be slaves and nothing more than that. But the truth is the absolute opposite. They are the chosen of God. They are the chosen of Yah. And God, even the God that we say we call upon in Christianity, is coming back to redeem his people. And it makes it very clear that the nation that held his people in slavery are going to fall, much like Pharaoh fell when he refused to let God's chosen people go.
If you made it this far into the video, you're supposed to ask yourself some questions. Whether you believe black people are not the Israelites, whether you believe you're Israelite yourself, whatever, you're supposed to ask yourself some questions. If you have some sort of integrity, you know. And one thing I like to say, we don't need you, white Christians and Muslims and whoever out there, you black Christians as well, whoever, you Jewish people, yeah, to believe us when we say we're the Israelites. We don't need you. We don't need you to confirm neither. I think all of y'all that are honest enough to go out and say, yeah, black people are really Israelite, I think all of y'all bless you. But realistically, we don't need you. Especially those of you that's against us. You know, we don't need you. And you know the reason why you fight in tooth and nails, because you don't want us to be the Israelites. Because it's not even a thing where, oh, you're fighting for truth. You're fighting for power. You want to be at the top. We are not fighting. We're preaching the truth. Now, those of you out there who believe, you know, that all of us that say we're the Israelites, we believe that white people are the evil and all that stuff, that's not even true. I haven't seen nowhere in the Torah, nor in the Tanakh, nor in the Brit Hadasha or New Testament, whatever you want to call it. I haven't seen that nowhere. This is not what I teach. Now, there's going to be retribution for the people that have done wrong altogether, period. And for the people that have done wrong unto the children of Israel, or the children of the Most High. End of the story. Now, subscribe to my channel for more content. I hope this was an enlightenment, and Shabbat Shalom.